We know that the two riders are friends, they're locals, they're familiar with the area and familiar with the lake. They had met up just earlier in the evening, fueled up just down the road here, and they had headed out onto the lake together. As far as they knew, the lead rider, who was the rider who did not fall in, he assumed that his friend was behind him. As he started to round the lake, he determined that his friend was no longer with him. He circled back and just started to follow snowmobile tracks, and as he followed snowmobile tracks, he determined that the second rider came onto the lake, and then he kind of went the opposite way around the lake. So it was when he approached, and he's familiar with Clear Creek and where Clear Creek comes into Lincoln Lake. So as he approached Clear Creek, he determined that his friend's tracks were in that area.
The guy who was sitting still, he didn't feel safe to move. He was saved, is that right?
That's correct. So he found himself on some floating ice, and as he had kind of made the determination that his friend was likely in the area, he called 911 from the ice and just stayed put. Spencer Township Fire and Rescue arrived, determined that they couldn't make it to the rider safely. They contacted Cannon Fire. Cannon Township Fire showed up with their hovercraft, which is a very useful tool in a situation like this. They were able to make it out safely to the lead rider and rescue him.
Is that whose snowmobile we're seeing was the lead rider's?
The lead rider's snowmobile is still on the ice.
Gotcha. What kind of movement have we made? We understand the current is pretty heavy where the creek pulls in, and it looks like they're still searching in the area where he initially fell in.
So the conditions under the water may be challenging because there is a slight current. So they've deployed every resource that we have available to us at this point, including some underwater sonar robots. They're essentially little remote control submarines with sonar. There are 2 of those that have been deployed. A drone has been deployed with a thermal imager, really to no avail at this point.
Drugs or alcohol?
There's no indication at this point that drugs or alcohol played any factor.
Can you kind of go into the description of why this lake doesn't freeze over? Why it's not typical for this lake to freeze over?
So, on any inland lake, especially with the colder temperatures that we've had, the ice thickness has been what most would consider relatively safe. However, springs and flowing water, and oftentimes dock bubblers and that sort of thing, can cause hazards on lakes like this. And so this is an area of the lake where Clear Creek flows into Lincoln Lake and feeds it, which creates either an open water or a thin ice situation.